This has gotten to the point of ridiculousness. I'm sitting here setting up to do a show vlog, right, with a nice camera, and this dude has been running this leaf blower for 45 minutes. I smoked weed, I did facial lotion, I got on my phone and played with shit, I fucking did my hair, I adjusted my case and looked at my tripod. Like, I've been fucking sitting here wasting time. Like, come on, it's going to shoot I'm going to shoot this vlog for 45 minutes waiting on this dude to finish. Look at this. There is next to no leaves in it, okay? This dude's just walking around in a fucking circle behind the liquor store, blowing a leaf blower for an hour. I'm gonna get up and go over there, fuck. This ties into a whole lecture I have on people doing make work and fucking... Oh, it's over at the Rich White Houses. It's not in this lot. Now that I'm closer to it, I can tell it's coming from over there. Slightly better, but oh my god, look how small these... The yard's fucking 10 feet wide, and there's two of them going too. There's one down there. What could they be fucking leaf blowers that would take 45 minutes? And did you know that gas leaf blowers aren't even legal here? That means you can just buy them anywhere the fuck else and bring them here, and if you're in a black neighborhood, then they catch you, they'll give you a ticket. But in the rich white neighborhood, no one's gonna knock on your door and ask you what type of leaf blower you're using in your backyard. But there are regulations and licensing and special fees for like the labor crews and stuff. Latinos that do lawn maintenance have to pay for the ability to use gas machines, because the environmental regulations here keep people from using them. So, what are these people fucking blowing? It's springtime. There's not... In America, we waste so much effort and labor on nothing. There was a dude doing a live stream about a wake or I don't know what you call it, a public event mourning the loss of a police officer up here at San Luis Obispo, okay? And he was showing how the ridiculous procession, the parade of all these giant heavy-duty trucks with Blue Lives Matter and Thin Blue Line and Trump and all this, the waste and the excess of the whole event is just a demonstration of how America has resources to do things, but we use them to bully people, much like Israel is doing right now, which they're using our guns, our bombs, our backup. That's blowing up in the news right now, but it's something that liberals like me have been fucking yakking about for years. Like, hey, look, what Israel is doing is against international law, war crimes, frequently horrific, immoral, killing children, blowing up schools, blowing up hospitals. They attacked the Associated Press today. Today is that day. The Associated Press building, which basically is the local international news teams and all their equipment and film studios and hard drives and cameras and stuff. They bombed the building and leveled the building because they don't want people to know what's going on over there. Okay, we have all these resources to bomb this, blow up that, acquisition this, run fucking 3 leaf blowers for 30 minutes. This is a good vlog, I told you. But that microphone's more sensitive and it's going to be even worse. But we don't have the resources to, feed the poor and house the homeless. I don't even complain about my lot, about being homeless and stuff. I don't even give a fuck. just the discrimination that they look. When I do get the $30 it takes for a 24-hour fitness membership, I can't go there and give them my money and get service because of the discrimination I faced in the past and all my bullies. I don't even complain about my meager existence because I know damn well, compared to most of the planet, I do well enough. Actually, for most of America, I do well enough. I don't go hungry. But to think that I could have a normal and productive life if it just wasn't for these bullies and the energy they expend. All the bullies, people like my parents, like my mother, they're bullies that spend all their time and energy attacking and hurting others and fluffing themselves up and don't give a shit about the community they live in, the other people around them. It's not just that they're greedy, they take pleasure in other people's pain. They're sadists. So for a while it was funny, and then it's not funny. Like I said, it's been a solid 45 and 50 minutes now. Or 2 or 3 of them, I guess. But still, look at their lots. How much energy they're expending. Gasoline they're expending. Which we can't see over there, but it's almost assuredly blowing the dust out of the grout around their pool and stuff like that. Like, it's not... The number one crop in America, the number one by square footage thing we grow and pay for horticulture, to water it, to fertilize it, to trim it, groom it, the number one far and away too, much larger, not just barely, but the biggest thing that we spend our energy doing to grow here in America is grass. Your front lawn, not hay to feed livestock, fucking grass. Actually, it may be all grass included. I'm not sure on that. I'm quoting something, of course. And yeah, but grass. All right. We don't all need little green spaces next to our house that we barely ever use. We can have one communal green space, and once a month, when you feel like it, you can walk over there and experience it. We don't need a little green space around each little individual family household. We need quality engineering and dense population centers. My father was a landlord. I know what it's like to run cheap apartments and trailer park trash and the problems you have and shit. But I've also learned through engineering throughout my life how you can fix those problems, how you can make robust, long-lasting fittings that are not gonna be fragile and are interchangeable and replaceable. And you can make tubs and showers that are high quality and toilets that are high quality, and they'll last for generations, for fucking 50 years. Takes a little bit extra effort up front, and then you gotta think about like the insulation between apartments to dampen sound, because people get on each other's nerves. Okay, we have the technology now. I know a little bit about acoustics and fucking thermal dampening, or not, excuse me, the audio foam mats. I could look it up in 2 seconds, and I've seen plans drawn up before. You can have shit separated, so you can be blazing your music here, and the next apartment over can't hear you, and doesn't transfer vibrations heavily through the floor. And ventilation, the virus has just taught us that we need to think about having organized, planned ventilation, have negative pressure type thing, where it pulls air out of the room and discharges it to the outside, and doesn't mix air from each unit together. These things can be planned out, and we can make high quality living quarters for everyone dirt fucking cheap. And what you do is you take like a whole wall and make the whole wall a display, like a giant computer monitor. Now 8K is the current highest resolution, and things get cheaper when you build them in bulk. When you build them a huge number of them, it gets more efficient. That's why like 1080p screens of a 32-inch size were so cheap for a long time, because it's like the cheapest, most common one produced, and once you have the factories and assembly lines set up, it's easy to make them. So what we do is we make a wall with 8K resolution that runs floor to ceiling, 10 feet wide, or something approximate like that takes up the whole side wall of one of these micro apartments, and you can fucking flip a switch and have it Fiji, the water's breaking at Fiji, or space stuff, or the snowy wilderness, or you can change it. It just eliminates you don't need a window overlooking the garden. You can take a picture of the most beautiful garden you've ever seen, by your opinion, by your standards, and at insane high quality resolutions like a overkill 8K giant display. It'd be essentially better than being there, because you could also have it as a cinematography thing where the dude's walking around with the camera like this and showing you the hummingbird and zooming in on it and going around the flower to all sides of it to examine its beauty from each angle and in contrast with it can, and with my communist strategy for taking over the world, the way our society should work, my thesis for college, what will happen is all media is accessible to everyone. So every one of these wallpapers or like backgrounds on your desktop that you have now for your apartment, they're all interchangeable, so you can browse the ones other people have made. You could browse a billion of them. You can change it every day. You can literally have a new wall, a new view. Manhattan one day, skyline, Chicago the next, Las Vegas the next. If you like city skylines, it's just the most logical, obvious thing. When your brain gets around these engineering feats and realize that we could do, it's cheaper to do that, to put someone in a luxury apartment with a nice kitchen setup, nice stove, nice refrigerator, the bathroom, like I said earlier, with a good toilet and a good shower, stuff that's durable, not these little cheap ass things that crack all the time and the seals are cheap and short lasting. You can make quality long-term living quarters that are also pretty much indestructible, like a countertop with touch sensitive buttons to spew the water out. You can't break it with these fucking crackheads. And then they're stacked together. They're not crazy big apartments, and they're really close together, but you have the sound baffling and the environmental separation, so it might as well be you're at peace in your own home. Everyone has a home, and that's cheaper than jail. It's cheaper than fucking do this and house everybody than jail. And then the people that still fuck up, the people that have to go thieving and robbing, even though they got an Xbox home or PlayStation or whatever and giant TV. They have media access. They have television and internet. That's all just basic human necessities to interact with society and participate in life. Everyone's got that. So what would you steal? Like, why would you steal? The only reason you would steal and take from people is if you're a fucking sicko. And if you're a fucking sicko, we lock the door. We lock you in one of these boxes. And if you're a bully and you can't stop bullying people online, we pull the internet connection. But we still don't have to torture you. You can play old school video games, like PlayStation 1 games that don't need an internet connection. You can play chess with yourself. Or you can, maybe through a moderator, maybe you can have some social contact through a moderator, but we're not going to let you just free roam because you're a bully. And if you're really, really fucking sicko, we can cut all that and you can't even talk to a moderator, but we still leave you alone and let you live out your life in peace and grow old and die, and the whole time you'll have access to the education. This is, you plug in my whole lecture about universal education right here, and everyone would have access to all forms of education, recorded lectures, all the lectures that have ever been for every class, every topic. You would be able to learn your whole life. So now even the sickos in our society, if they sit there and by themselves and they write a book or something that's interesting or cool or profound or whatever, will examine their belongings when they finally pass, and they can still contribute to the whole of humanity. They might make one of those wallpaper things that is really inspiring and pleasant, and we can all benefit from their creativity without ever torturing them, without ever fucking crossing the line ourselves and becoming the bad guys. And There you go. There's all society. And it takes less effort than what we do now. We spend more money and make it all about torture and fucking hurting people as retribution, as if that's going to accomplish anything. And boy, these guys are not going to quit with the mowers. Like, I can't. Those lawns are the size of a ping pong table. What the actual fuck? And these are nice houses. They have pools and shit like that. When you think about these things I talk about deeply, it becomes obvious that way every human can contribute to the greater good. No one has to suffer to an extreme like we used to. No one has to freeze to death. No one has to starve to death. No one's going to have to get malaria and die. But the problem is the elites have the power, and right now they're special because they've got that power. They've got money, clout, whatever. But this is a great equalizer. If you cross into communism like this, a little serf boy, the equivalent of a slave, has the same access to education as anyone. And they can spend their whole life learning and learning and learning, and may come up with something great that may help everyone for the rest of time. And it's by their own merit. The way we have it now is your daddy can give you a bunch of money or use you as a tax shield and fuck your ass off. And that makes you a powerful person, or takes your power forever. That's it. It makes no sense. And it wastes so much. You don't think there'd be a bunch of good artists, the starving children in Africa and shit that I always talk about saving, even though you fuckers call me a racist because you're too dumb to to understand my concepts. You don't think out of 100 million discarded children, some of them are going to be literal savants at 100 million level. Some of them are going to be pianists. Some of them are going to be the next Van Halen or whatever. I don't know shit about guitar work, but you get the idea. Or maybe they're autistic and good with structural engineering and build cool architectural things, or efficient. There's art appreciation, and then there's shit that just works, so they design new roadway structures or tunnel structures that benefit all of humanity, or all of even beyond humanity, of all life forever. The way we have it right now is a team of convicted child molesters that like to bully people for fun can destroy art and education and anything that they lay their hands on just by persistence and having a few people having the numbers to silence and destroy. And they wreck lives. They absolutely wreck lives. I was not joking about 45 minutes before I turned this on. These yards are the size of Tic Tacs. What the fuck? The sun's like right where I'm sitting, and I think it might hit the lens. Like, it's not. My shots change now because of the time of the day. I could fart and blow all the leaves off one of those little lawns. Good thing there's a little distance. If a noise like that is too close to me, it sets off my autistic shit. It gets me to beat myself and stuff. Leaf blowers do it pretty bad, actually. Especially if they're on the throttle on. It's like... Eugenics is the answer. We have to find these people, the people that are sadists, that like to bully, that like to troll, that entertain themselves by hurting others. We gotta round them up and kill them, son. We gotta do to them what they would do to anyone for a smile. They're what's holding humanity back. I'm halfway being stubborn now, but I really wanted to turn on a nice camera, and I'm not gonna waste the...
No, I'm off tomorrow. Huh?
Plus, it becomes a running joke. Like, how much time? 20 minutes now, 21 minutes. And I swear, 45 minutes before that, so an hour for these little lawns. And yeah, in the herd too, there was 2 different ones for sure now, but either one of them, like best case scenario, one finished somewhere in there and the other one started, and it was first one then the other. Best case scenario. I worked at my parents' mowing the lawn at some of their properties. Not my home one, thank goodness, because it was huge. But the apartment complex I'd cut, and I get $30 for doing that. But it was a good 6 hours labor. So that was not good pay, but for me, $5 an hour. Then I mean, 6 hours of hard labor, and it would take more if I sat down to rest too much, and I had to get my own equipment and buy my own gas and shit. They were strict on that. Like, my mother would, even though like 1 gallon of gas would like last like a month, she wouldn't give me the one. I had to pay out of my money the one. They made a real big deal. The gas can I had to pay for. The lawnmower, I had to buy it. I had to finance it to work for sub-minimum wage doing hard labor. And then what I bought was the stuff I always talk about getting confiscated. This is the exact period of time when I was 16 and got tried music and ordered the discs from Columbia House, ordered a bunch of CDs, and they just got fucking stolen. Porn, of course. Duh. That's sick. We're talking literally 15 and 16-year-old boy. And at 16 was the day that my mother destroyed the $1 million Playboy collection. She went to I had a couple of them at the house we lived in. We have a lot of property. I had a couple of them in the house we lived in, and she found them and confronted my father about them because she knew what they were from. They're old. They're 1950s and 1960s Playboy, and then later in the 70s, there's like Gallery and some penthouse. There was a treasure trove of them. Military dude who collected them, and they were supposed to be for mine in the future, but my father let me have a couple. Probably because he was worried I'd turn out gay. He told me if I was gay, he'd execute me. And then she comes to pick me up from mowing the grass over at the apartment complex, and I go to put my gas can and stuff in the back of her car, and boom, there's the giant crate, the big box of the collector's Playboys, and she pulled up to a dumpster on the way home and threw them in the dumpster and destroyed them right in front of me. And I got home and found out, sure enough, my room had been searched up, which was a regular thing for me, a real regular thing. So I worked my ass off to make them richer. And most of the stuff, they kept most, I had to save some of that $30 for college. Okay? They kept all that. They stole it. I'd spend the rest on the video games, music stuff. They confiscated almost all of it on the spot, not allowing me to ever use it or experience it or anything, and then kept all of it. Nothing left with when I went off to college. They stole my Nintendo and shit straight out. That was horrible, man. Like, The invasion of, I'll never forget that, because I work, it's a hard ass job. And this is East Coast weather too, so there's mosquitoes and bugs. One time, same set of buildings, I rolled over a hornet's nest, not hornet's nest, a yellow jacket nest in the ground. They burrow into the ground. And I didn't know there was a nest there, and it was just in this dry square of the yard I was mowing, and I went over it, and they swarmed up my legs and just coated me all the way up to my waistline, coated me in these yellow jackets, and I had to run to my grandmother lived in our apartment, so we rented her at a discount, a substantial discount. So I ran over there and I tried to get medical help. I wanted to call 911, but they wouldn't let me call 911. And they got my mother over there. My mother came over there, and she complained that, I'm not going to get the lawn done fast enough now that I'm hurt, and I'm whining like a little bitch. And we're talking 100+ stings, just all of my legs and shit coated with. Before I went to my grandma's, I was veered over and get the water hose and soak myself in water and go everywhere. So I was getting in trouble for getting the furniture wet. My grandmother's nice furniture and shit. And then this is all at like age 16. The next year is when I stole my grandmother's dead husband's pain medication, his Vicodin. But she'd had that Vicodin during this time period, and I realized she watched me beg for medical care, beg for 911, like experience torture level pain, knowing she had a script of Vicodin, and was like, let him suffer. Those are for when I feel icky. And the man that I stole his pain pills, he'd have been dead and buried 7 years at the time, so. Fuck. He died when I was in the 3rd grade. This is the 10th grade. That's not a joke. That's seriously. But it's one of those weird layouts. Like, you don't give a shit about me. Like, you don't. This is another big story. The laborers. My father hired tons of other laborers besides me. He bought me, but he hired other laborers for all his many projects. There was a time when they were building the second apartment complex that the workers in front of me like had to flip out and looked at each other like, what the fuck? They're letting this kid work in concrete? He doesn't have protective gear. He needs fucking long jeans and shit. I always wore shorts as a kid because it was always hot. So they confronted my mother about treating me inappropriately as a laborer, about not having protective gear for me and having a young child working in concrete. They stood up to their boss about my working conditions right in front of me. And then after that, a few weeks after that, I was doing another concrete project in a different location with just me and my mother, putting the stone path out to her garden gazebo thing we just made. We cut the top of a mountain off, put it in the bottom, made a flat place, and built a new garden out there, a new lawn, a new garden, and in a gazebo thing, and we had a decorative walkway that you put the mold there and fill it with cement mix, and then move the plastic form and do it again and make a fake stone walkway. And I was complaining to her then, like, hey, I want protective gear. Your other workers were telling me that it's dangerous. You can get messed up from being exposed to too much concrete, and it can stain your skin and stuff. I want the protective gear if I'm going to work for you. And this was young, but this wasn't 15 or 16. This is like 9 or 10, and I was not getting paid. It was just slave labor, and it was still during the real dark times. Okay, and my mother got upset with me complaining and wanting safety gear while I labored for her, and took the shovel she was using to spread the concrete, to dump the concrete in the forms. It comes to a point. It's fairly dull, but it makes a point like that. And she, had cement on it, so she took it and stuck it in my shin and spun it and ground it into my shin, because I was crying about wanting protective gear, like her other workers told me. That's this mark. I'm in the sun, so I can't see it. Right ahead of that thumbnail. And that's always there. You can see it like if I'm in jail and shit and I get real pale. It's real obvious. But it's this little gray dot from her spinning the head of the spade to rub it into me because I was crying about wanting protective gear while I worked like a slave for him. And the other one, I was working like a slave for him and showed up and had a catastrophic, like the mental anguish of a 16-year-old watching $1 million Playboy collection getting destroyed. There's no coming back for that. They're like, oh, you're a feckless cunt. I want to watch you die. While you're dripping in sweat, you're shaking. When from 6 hours of holding a push mower, little 2-stroke push mower, it vibrates so much your hands go numb, makes your hands oddly numb, and you're covered in this paste of grass and oil and gas and shit. It's a specific flavor. Oh my god, I think I waited them out, but now I've completed, I've shot a fucking half-hour vlog. I'm good. I guess it's reached critical mass. One too many people have told me I should write a book. It's basically what this is.
That's okay. Only up there, okay? Just to there.
My hair look good. I put that new shit in there today.
Just this and back. Hard.
We got to get rid of these bullies that like hurting people so we can all move on as a species.